go for it whenever you're ready.
Okay, sure. So I won't talk about learning a language today, not the programming language. It's Chinese or English. So now I'm gonna share my screen because I create this little web page to help me to show you some pictures. Okay, so first I'm gonna tell you something about my experience of learning English. I have learned English for 20 years. I started learning English when I was 7 years old. The reason why I have a code mark for English is, so when I was in China, learning English was not like a learning language. It's more like learning a skill of how to pass the English exam. English is an obligatory course, so from K1 to college. So we have to learn English. But I don't know how to use it to communicate with other people. So 4 years ago, I came to Boston. I started my real journey of learning English. The thing I want to share is if you learn a language, you will meet difficulties or challenges. But the fun part of learning a language is much bigger than the difficulties or challenges. So now I'm gonna show you the fun part. Okay. This one is my favorite. Who can tell me what did this sign really mean? Maybe in the chat?
The top part or the bottom part?
No kicking of balls.
King something. I don't know.
It really says, do not play football. How about this one here? So this is a retail store. So who can tell me what this store sells? No, it's adult products. Okay, so how about this one? I have never been to men's restroom, so I don't know this sign even exists. But I think this one is very funny. It's the last one is this one is a retail store. They sell adult products. Become person thing. Okay. So here, this sign here. Because I have never been to men's restroom. I don't know this sign even exists. Who can tell me if there is sign like this in men's restroom? Nope. Okay. Good to know. When you learn language, do not trust Google Translator, because the correct translation for this one should be restaurant. Okay, so enough for the fun part. Now I'm gonna teach you some Chinese words. I'm not gonna teach you hello, goodbye, thank you, or I love you, because if you go to China, when you say thank you to somebody, they will understand. So I think those words, I think these words I listed here is like more, it's cooler. So the first one, if you can speak out, that'll be helpful to memorize. So I'm gonna speak. The first one, 中国 means China. 中国. 中国. Second one, 中文 means Chinese. 中文. 中文. Third one, 苹果 means apple. 苹果. So this is the first English word I learned when I was 7 years old. So I want to teach you, maybe this is the first Chinese word you learn. 苹果. 苹果. The fourth one, 旅行 means travel. 旅行. 旅行. This one is very hard to pronounce because I have a friend who has already learned Chinese for 5 years. He still can't pronounce this word right. 旅行. 旅行. So the last one, I think, is the coolest. At least remember this one. 程序员. 程序员. 程序员 means programmer. 程序员. Okay, all right. I'm gonna stop share. Any questions?
Is the part of it that's written like in English characters, is that like a standardized way to write that? Or is that just like kind of like a phonetic version that you wrote to be like, this is basically how it's pronounced? Or is that like a standard?
You mean this one in the Koans?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like pronunciation of the Chinese character.
But it's like established, so it's like if that's spelled like that in English, like the ZHONG, that's like the standard pronunciation for that first character.
Yes.
A standard way to write it in English.
Yeah, if you write this to Chinese friends, they will understand.
Oh wow! So like, here's another question. In China and Apple, like the second word is the same, the gua. What does that part mean that it's the same in both China and Apple?
苹果. 果 is fruit. 苹果 is apple.
And then in China, gua is like the second word as well. Is that like a...
Oh, you mean this? The pronunciation is the same, but the character is different. You can see the character, one is like this, one is like this. But the pronunciation is correct. It's the same.
But how do you know what you mean? Just by the other word that you use with it?
Yeah, use the other words because, 苹果, like together, it means apple.
Oh, okay. Got it. Cool.
Nice. At least remember the last one, 程序员. I'm gonna speak again, 程序员. So it's called programmer, 程序员. Okay, any other questions?
Nico's got a question in the chat.
Have you ever met anyone with a Chinese tattoo that means something completely different? Yeah, like 2 years ago, it's funny. 2 years ago, I met this guy who has a Chinese character on his arm. It means chicken noodle soup, but I don't really know if he knows what's that mean. It's funny. I don't think anyone will like get a tattoo like chicken noodle soup on his arm. Yeah, maybe.
That's funny. Any Chinese movie recommendations before we head into our Ching Shu Wan part of the day? Favorite song or movie recommendations?
Favorite song in Chinese? I have a lot of favorite songs. Maybe here, this song. This is called Love. If you search online, Google online, you will see. So for 程序员, is that voice chapter? Same pronunciation of my name. Same pronunciation, but different character.
Awesome. That was a great presentation, Yuan. Thank you. I really liked it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, today we're going to have a little bit of a choose your own adventure for what you want to accomplish today. We're going to have two options. and we'll let you pick which you feel like is going to be the most fruitful for you. The first part of the day, we are actually going to stay as a group here for this lecture, and I'd like you all to follow along. We're going to clone down a GitHub repo that is a repo that's commonly used to learn some JavaScript concepts or reinforce some JavaScript concepts using testing. So it asks you to alter actual JavaScript code so that it passes tests. It's written in a way specifically that is going to, in its current state, fail tests. You'll have to read it, understand why it's failing, and then fix a small piece of it. And then you'll get feedback as to whether you fixed it correctly and it's passing or it's still broken. These are called the JavaScript Koans. So I'm going to start sharing my screen, and I'm going to go pretty slow so that everyone can follow along with me. So right now, if you can get your terminals open, you'll need your terminal open or your Git Bash if you're on Windows, PowerShell, whatever you're using. And then you'll also be needing your Chrome browser to navigate to the page to pull them down. So the cones are going to be one pass through today. If you're interested in continuing them and working on them, I will, on the whiteboard today, you'll notice there's a place for there's two blocks, one that says cones, one that says review and complete previous sprints. After I've gone through the cones, you can add your name to one or the two, either one of those two things. And then once we see who is where, we're just going to let you pair up again. You can be in groups of 2 or 3. And you'll work through one of the two things. If you didn't get through like a lot of the array, object, or functions curriculum, I'd suggest like that would probably be a good place to spend your time, especially the array one had like quite a bit at the bottom to get through. So if you want to just kind of spend more time with the curriculum, that's great. Otherwise, if you feel like you pretty much covered what you want to in the curriculum, the cones are going to be a great option. And whichever one you choose over the weekend, you can pick the other one if you so choose. Okay, so with no further ado, and any questions from lingering that anybody wants to talk about before we jump into this? All right, I'll share my screen. So this is going to be the first place you need to go, and I'm going to send you everybody this link. I'm going to put it in the Zoom chat, and then I'm going to put it in Slack as well. Come on, chat, show up. Here we go. Okay, so everyone go to this website. Meanwhile, I will put this in Slack. So far what we had talked about with Git is actually creating a repo on your own computer, like working on something locally and then deciding that you want to share it with the world and you want to initialize it and upload it to your personal GitHub. What we're going to do now is the other part of what GitHub is awesome for is other people put really great code up there that you may want to fork a copy of so that you have a local copy and you can tear it apart. You can look into it and really, it can be a really great way to learn as well. This project specifically is made for learning JavaScript, but somebody does a project. Some of your cohort mates here have posted their projects that they did for the hackathon. So if you look on the whiteboard and you find their GitHub handle, you could search for them on GitHub, see what kind of repositories they have, and fork a copy of their repo. You would then have all of their code and you would be able to play with it and try to add things if you so chose. Okay, so let me pull this chat back up so I can keep track a little bit if everybody is following along here. Come on, chat. Zoom, don't fail me now, Zoom. Here we go. Chat. Okay, let me keep this a little bit more up so I can. So send us in the chat. Is everybody on this page on GitHub? Anybody just want a little more time to get there? Okay, I don't see any P's. So what we're gonna do is find this little button here that says fork. And if you just hover over it, it tells you what's gonna happen. Fork your own copy to your account. I click on fork. Any organization that you are a member of, possibly you'll just have your name will come up and it may happen automatically, but if you're a member of more organizations, I'm gonna pick mine. Now we can see up here, I'm in my own profile, right? I have my own forked copy, NISAW/JavaScript Koans. and it tells me where I got it from. So now that I have this forked copy, move this out of the way. Actually, is this chat in your way? Can you guys see the chat, or is it not visible to you guys? You can't see it? Is that a thumbs down, Rose? You can't see the chat? Can't see it. Oh, awesome. Good. Then it's not blocking the screen as I thought it was. Okay, so now you're going to have this thing here, this little it's maybe an SSH, or you may have HTTPS, depending on how your GitHub is set up. Mine's set up with SSH right now. You're just going to copy this entire thing. Just Control C it. You're going to open up your terminal. Let's see, where do I want to put this? You're going to go navigate in your terminal to wherever you want to create. This is going to create a folder with all of this code in it. So if you have like a remote prep folder, maybe like navigate your way into that folder. Actually, I'm going to put mine on my desktop. Just shout out your questions if anything comes up here. Okay, so now I'm on my desktop. I'm going to type in git clone, and I'm going to copy paste in that exact thing that I just got from GitHub. When I hit enter, it's going to just give me a rundown of what it's doing. Cloning into JavaScript Koans. Didn't take long. Now when I look at my desktop, I see this. I see this folder that it created, JavaScript Koans. Anybody need more time to get to this point? Give me a thumbs, maybe a thumbs down if you're not ready to move on. Michael's cool. Thanks. Okay, Michael needs a little more time. Or Kevin, that was Kevin, sorry. Kevin and Michael's off. Questions or just a little more time?
Yeah, I think I missed how to fork it.
Okay, so the fork, we were just back on this page, this main page that I put in the Slack and in the chat. And there's this button up here that says fork. It says watch,
okay. Oh, it's that simple.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I just missed it. Thanks.
Cool, cool.
I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
So why does it create the folder JavaScript Koans instead of just putting all those individual files and folders onto your desktop, for example?
It's going to create a directory that's called whatever your GitHub repo is called here, with all of this inside of it.
Okay.
So that's just the way that the clone works down, is that it is going to create a directory for you. And it's going to have the name of whatever the GitHub repo is.
Okay, cool.
Raymond, do you have Git working? Because we did like a Git init before, or we actually pushed your repo.
Yeah, but I did on Git Bash, but not on PowerShell.
Oh, I wish I could help you more with PowerShell. Maybe you'll have to just switch over to Git Bash. So Git clone, Kevin, is you're going to, once you forked it and you're in your own GitHub, you're going to copy paste this. It's either going to say SSH or HTTPS, and you're going to Control C, copy everything here, and then terminal. I just typed it right here. I typed git clone, and then I copy pasted in this whole thing.
So you just created a folder on your desktop for this Koans fork to go, and then you clone that URL into that folder?
I didn't actually create a folder. I just want it to be straight on my desktop. Like, I've got so much stuff open right now, but if we could ever make it to the desktop here, we would be able to see that it created that folder. I don't know if the video is in front of it. If you guys can see that I have this folder now called JavaScript Koans. For me, the video is actually blocking it.
We can see it.
Okay, perfect. So it created that. If you wanted it to be nested inside another folder, like if you had this like remote prep folder, maybe you want to CD into that and then do the git clone so that it's in there. But it creates the directory. It's not just going to put a bunch of files there.
So if you navigate to a folder, so I have a remote prep folder, and then I type in git clone and then paste in that that HTTPS URL from the fork, and then hit enter, it'll catch me up to where everyone should be right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Right now, everyone, you should just have a folder that's called JavaScript Koans somewhere on your computer. Awesome. So now all I'm going to do is, if you don't have this command setup, you just go to your text editor, Sublime, Atom, whatever you guys are using. Close anything else that you're working on. Sublime. So in Sublime, I'm just going to hit Command O to open it, navigate to wherever it is. So I put it on my desktop. And there it is, JavaScript Koans. I'm going to hit open. So when you open it up in your text editor, you're going to notice like, holy cow, there's a lot of files here. Like, what are these all about? Some of them I'll let you just pick through on your own. But so this has set up a testing environment. Testing is something you'll get a lot more into if whether you accidentally cloned it without forking. That actually will still work too, Rose, but you can always go back and fork it. You can delete the repo you have on your machine right now, and but that will work too. You can actually clone it without forking. Okay. So when you open it up, you'll see a few things. Like this main thing is koansrunner.html. This is part of the testing framework. This file, this HTML file, is what you're going to open in your browser to see what tests are passing. So if you want to right-click on it, you can click Open in Browser, or the long way about it would be to go to Chrome, Google Chrome, of course, and hit Command O and navigate to it just the way that we have before and open. But you can just open in browser and do the same thing. So this is the page that's going to open at first, right? This is a failing test. You have some options. They did a little more nice CSS for you. You can say look ahead, which is going to show you all of the future tests you have to pass. We're not going to I expect you guys to get through all of these. You can show pass cones or close look ahead and just currently focus on the test that you're failing. Okay, so back to Sublime. Any questions at this point? Anybody having a hard time opening this up in Sublime? Okay, sounds good. All right, so that's the koansrunner.html. That is what you're going to open in your browser to find out what tests are passing. You're not going to edit this file at all. This is just part of the testing framework that tells you, that shows you your passing and failing tests. The actual tests themselves are written in, let's see, they're written in here, like library and Jasmine. Jasmine, runner specs. This is, specs are just another word for like test files. So we can click in here more and see like exactly how they're testing things before each. This is how tests are written. Poke around if you want to, no need, okay? That Jasmine folder, library folder, not important to you. So what we need to work on is Koans themselves. So the way they get cloned down isn't really in the order that you want to tackle them. This is just alphabetical order. The one that you want to start with is about expects. About expects is going to sort of walk you through a little bit how this whole thing works. Because honestly, this probably looks like pretty crazy the first time you open this up, looking at this and being like, what am I supposed to do here? But this is really well commented, right? These are great code comments that are going to walk you through what it's expecting you to do. So this describe block, that's just part of how the test has to be written. What we're going to be focusing on is kind of these it should expect true. So we shall contemplate truth. They wrote this in the Koans, like Buddhist kind of meditation styles, why the language is kind of bizarre. We shall contemplate truth by testing reality via spec expectations. So it should expect true. Some of this you just have to see, like this is how you write a test, right? You have a function, you pass a function in as the second parameter. Okay, so expect false to be truthy. This it block, every one of these it blocks is a new test on my page. Right here, we see it again. It should expect true. I'm not passing the test, so it's giving me this message that says it is damaging your karma. So your journey begins here. Replace the word false with true. Okay? All I need to do to pass this test is literally expect, change this to true, because that makes this sentence make sense, right? Expect true to be truthy. If I save this, have to save it, to go back to JavaScript Koans and I refresh my page, I've now passed my first test. Okay, I'm going to do one more on this expects page, and then we're going to go into, I think arrays is the next one. Okay, to understand reality, we must compare our expectations against reality. So it should expect equality. Var expected value, fill me in. So when it says fill me in, that is where I need to make my change. So can anyone look at this for a second and tell me what I need to type in here? Look all the way down. This is what it expects, and this is where I'm going to put my answer. Kevin says 2. Let's try that. Julmar says 2. Bam, I passed another test. So this expects is just going to walk you through a little bit more about how, just to get you more familiar with a few different testing frameworks, like how you're going to alter it to get tests to pass. Okay, then you're going to jump into arrays. So again, contemplate truth by testing reality via spec expectations. So it should create arrays. This is a variable, right? Empty array. It's expecting type of empty array right here to be what? Does somebody want to tell me what to type here? What is the type of? When I ask type of array, what is it actually going to tell me? George, object. Oops, I typed in the wrong spot. Not sure if this needs to be a string or the word. So we'll try it first as the word. Oops, I got to say look ahead because I didn't do the expect ones. Okay, object is not defined, right? It's not a variable, so it does need to be a string here. Gotta keep clicking this look ahead. Oh, you know what the other one I need to click is, oh, it does say show passed cones. Where did it go? Because it's not showing that failed one anymore, but it's not showing that I passed it. Where did it go? Well, it's gone, I guess. I wouldn't. See, do you need to do it for the others to work? No, you can actually skip around. You don't have to do them in order at all. I just am surprised that it didn't, is that it disappeared off of here. Actually, I can look in my console. Sometimes this will give me a little bit more tip as something bizarre is going on. There's the console. Well, I guess disappearing is also going to be working as passing. But let's go back to one more before we. Oh, yeah, I get it now, Kevin. The other one here, because it's still in this same it block. Yeah, you're right. That is what's happening. This whole it block needs to be complete for that test. This is all one test. So empty array.length. This one, what's this going to be? What is dot length of this array? Zero. Cool. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to stop because I think that the rest of this will be understandable to you guys. The keys are command save and then going to your Koans runner and refresh. So the reason it showed up, I guess, before is because I had an error, but it won't show me the other one until I pass. But I think you guys have all the tools to be successful with this, and then I would be around to do some debugging too if anything else comes up. But shout out some questions if anybody has some right now.
I missed like the first 10 minutes. Are we not going to do the web store hackathon today, or are we just doing this this Koans?
Oh, sorry, George. We're going to do the web store hackathon on Monday.
Awesome.
So
okay.
Today it's actually choose your own adventure. You can either do these Koans, or you can go back and wrap up anything in functions, arrays, or objects that you didn't complete. If there were prompts or problems in there that you want to spend more time on, you can go that route. The very next step, though, is going to be, let's see, deciding which you want to do, and then finding a pair to work on it with you. So we still want you guys to pair up today. On the board, let's see, under current pairs. I haven't deleted these guys yet, but here's your two choices. You can either review and finish arrays, objects, and functions, or work on the Koans. So if everybody, like George, if you were like, hey, I want to do Koans, and you put your name here, once there's even just like one other person that's listed their name that also wants to do that, like pair up with them. Just go ahead and find your own pairs. You could be in groups of 2 or 3 to do this. If you want to go back and do this, then you put your name here. And same thing, you'd find somebody to pair up with, jump off and pair. If it's an odd number, just feel free to do 3s. 3s are great today as well. The last part about today, at 11:30, there's just going to be an optional meetup today at 11:30, and what it's going to be is kind of like a code share quiz covering material from kind of like day 1 to now. So it's just going to be kind of a smattering of random questions that Zan and I pull from the curriculum of everything we've covered in this class. So if you're interested in participating in that, just to kind of like refresh on kind of a lot of like smattering of topics, there'll be a Zoom link at 11:30. That is optional. If you would rather just keep working on whatever you're doing with your pair, totally good to go. Okay, any questions?
I would like to make one comment before people go off to do the Koans. Definitely, each time you change something, refresh the page and check your test, because sometimes you can make a syntax error that makes some of the tests disappear. Like if you see that whole section, like if all of about arrays disappears all of a sudden, it probably doesn't mean you're passing the test. What's happened is likely a syntax error that's actually breaking the test. So just make sure to check your test for the op-amp.
Good tip. And just reminded me too, like we said, there's a lot of tests in there. The ones I think to focus on would be starting with expect and then arrays, objects, functions. If you want to poke around past that, like feel free. It gets into some much more advanced topics, but those would be the ones to definitely start on. Great. If there's no questions, I'm going to end the Zoom. Oh, was that a question, Michael? Or I thought he was raising his hand.
Yeah, I have a question. So I'm looking at the code here. Is it a keyword?
Yes.
And just okay, all right. I don't know what that keyword means, nor do I know what describe keyword means. Is expect a keyword as well, and also to be?
Yes. So there's a bunch of keywords that are in here that are part of this Jasmine testing framework. Describe is one. It, expect, and to be. So you won't need to dive in too much into like how you would deploy those on your own. A lot of the reason that they pick those words is it kind of makes it almost readable in English language. Like when you say expect, this multi-type array to be blank, that testing language kind of makes it a little bit clearer to understand what they're asking. But you'll just need to do the fill me ins and the other places where they had kind of I guess maybe they just use fill me in. Yeah. And if it gets more complicated and you're stuck on something, you're not sure what the test is asking, then hit Xanner up and we can help walk you through it a little bit. All right, guys, have fun today.
Oh, I have one more question. What's
yeah.
Jasmine? Is Jasmine a thing, or is Jasmine created simply only for this?
No, Jasmine is a thing. There's a lot of testing frameworks. Like testing your code is really important, and it seems to be it's gaining more and more traction in businesses as well. That businesses that previously had none of their code base tested want tests. The reason why I test is because then if something breaks, you'll know it right away. You'll have this failing test. It won't be up to one of your customers to be like, wow, all of a sudden I can't do this anymore. So if you change something in one part of your code base, testing helps you make sure everything else is still working. So there's a lot of frameworks out there. Jasmine's really common. Mocha Chai, really common. There's other specific ones that work just with certain frameworks or have specific purposes. Jasmine, Mocha Chai, these are all called unit tests, which means they're actually testing specific functions. So you kind of set it up where you're going to give a function an input and make sure that the output is what you want it to be. And the test will fail if it's kind of like in the background, they're feeding your function, they're feeding your code inputs and outputs and seeing if it matches what they should be doing. So you can Google Jasmine and look into it a little further. It's like a popular testing framework. Another potential tool to learn. Yep, yeah, definitely. And you will, testing is going to be a big part of your life if you get into JavaScript and development, whether at HackReactor or elsewhere. All right, guys.
Nisa, can you stay on for 5 minutes, and if for the people who want it, give a little tiny tutorial about maybe. So we forked from Git, but I would like to continue to update this, I guess, as I'm going along.
Yeah.
So kind of how we can use Git while we're working.
Totally. Yeah. Anybody who wants to stay on, actually, I'll just start a screen share now and show you how I would update this. Anybody who's ready to go, feel free to drop off and grab your pairs. So I have this file open, this Sublime file. I've made a couple changes. maybe I would like be more, like say I had just completed about expects. I'll just pretend I have. So let's see. I'm gonna go back to my terminal. I'm gonna cd into this folder, JavaScript Koans. And so right now, I'm gonna say git status. Right, I have these 2 red files. Git knows that I've done something, but it's not, I haven't yet told it to specifically track these files and continue adding and add the new changes I made. So what I have to say first, right, is git add. I'm gonna type them in one at a time here. Ooh, anyone who's still here? Actually, I'll just do it. So right now I have added 1. 1 is in the staging area, it's green. One of them I have not yet told Git to watch. Sometimes you don't want Git to watch certain files, and I would never add this one. I would actually maybe specifically add it to like a Git ignore file. But in this case, I actually do want it to add both of them. So I'm going to say Git add. There's a few flags you can use to keep yourself from typing out these entirely long things. One I like to use is the flag command A. It's going to add all of them, even though there was just one. Okay, now they're both there. They're both in the staging area, yet I still have not done anything. The next thing I have to actually take the Git snapshot is to say Git commit. I'm going to use the -m flag for a message. I'm going to say initial commit. Okay, now if I say git status, so all that's happened right now, if I go to my GitHub, let's see here, I think I had it open in another window. Where did I put it? Too many windows. All right, I'm gonna open it here. Okay, so here's the thing I forked, right? But if I open Koans, my updates are not here yet, right? What have I not done?
You haven't pushed it to GitHub.
Right, exactly. So I can see what I have here. If I type git remote, here, I have this is connected. I cloned this from this place, right? When I typed git clone, this is like exactly where I took it from. So JavaScript like remembers that and has saved it as the origin for this. So if I say git push origin master, and then I refresh this, now my change is there. Expect true to be truthy. So like a good workflow for this would be maybe like once you pass, maybe you could do it as a good practice. You could pass it, you could do it like every time you pass an it block, or maybe like a describe. Actually, there's just gonna be one describe per section. So, but definitely every time you move on to a new file. So I would, after you get all these expects to pass and all of your Koans tests are like green for thinking about expects, definitely do that. Do the git add, git commit, and even like the git push origin master. Any question?
So when you commit it, like let's say I make a change and I commit, and I make another change and I commit, and I do that maybe 5 times. At the end of all those commits, I push. It's going to push the final version up.
It's going to push the final version up, but it's going to have all of your edits. Like, let's see,
So
where is it in here?
I guess what's the difference between like why do they have a difference between committing and pushing? Like why wouldn't I just push it every single time?
You can do a few things between committing and pushing. Like if your commits are really like mostly for you locally, you know, if all of a sudden you realize you just got 2 steps ahead and you want to like go back, maybe just see what it was like before you made a couple changes. You can what's called squash your commits. So if I had just made like 10 commits here, like I only have initial commit, but if I had just made a bunch of them and they were really small or they were just whatever, you can what's called squash them into one. So your GitHub doesn't show a bunch of like really tiny random commits. It just kind of gives you another chance to like decide what goes to your GitHub. But if you're making good commit messages, like, you know, completed expects or completed this specific prompt, then I mean, at this point, I wouldn't squash things. I would just keep all of your commits. Pushing is just like another step too. I mean, it's easier to just be a quick like get add, get commit, get add, get commit, and not always have to say get push origin master. Sometimes you'll have different scenarios where you don't want it to go to your origin master. You want to push it to like a different branch, or you want to push it to like an upstream. So it gives you the opportunity to decide like where you want your updates to go, and also how you want them to show up.
Got it. Okay. So if I make 5 changes and do 5 commits and then I push, it'll push all 5 commits up there.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Okay, got it.
Wouldn't be worth doing. You'll be able to see it on your own. But yeah, if you just make 5 small things, you'll see them all. You'll see every commit.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. Any other questions? All right. Well, be sure to make your decision on what you want to do. And same as always, pick a pair, pick your threesome, and then post your links on the whiteboard. That I'll probably mostly just try to be available for questions, kind of like help desk style today. So don't hesitate to reach out to us on Slack. But we may surprise you guys too and jump into your Hangouts. All right. See you guys later.